NigerFlavor.com.
Oh no no no. Girl, it's up to you, but I pray you say I do.
Hauwa Lami Temine was born into the family of Honorable Thomas and Hajuji Gaba, all of blessed memory, in Jos Plateau State, Nigeria. She hails from Kanam, local government in Plateau State. She taught through the educational sojourn in the unbroken sequence. She attended Lama Private School, Jos, where she obtained her first school leaving certificate in 1991. She proceeded to the prestigious Baptist High School, Jos, from 1991 to 1997. She obtained her first degree and second degrees in law from the University of Jos in 2004 and 2020, respectively. She began her career as a university professional administrator in April 2009 as an administrative officer too, and is currently a principal assistant registrar in the University of Jos. She is also currently the acting general manager of the Unijos Consultancy Limited, a position she has held since January 2020. She has been a member of the Association of Nigerian University Professional Administrators, ANUPA, since 2009. She was the ANUPA Unijos branch treasurer from 2015 till 2016, when she had to relinquish the position to take up the position of the National Legal Officer of ANUPA from 2016 to 2021. Mrs. Temine has attended numerous workshops organized by ANUPA at branch and national levels. She has also attended other trainings organized by Committee of Vice Chancellors, Center for Management and Development, and C. Caution Business Schools, among others. Lami is married with 2 thriving children.
The topic for this morning is interpretation and application of university laws, rules and regulations, conditions of service, career structure, standing orders, statutes and ordinances in daily assignments. The challenge is facing university professional administrators. I will just ask us to pay attention since this is not ready yet. But before we start, I want to ask a question. I want to paint a picture at the back of our minds before we start. Please, who knows how to swim? Swim. Yes, swimming. Okay, I'm seeing a couple of hands, yeah? You know how to swim. How did you learn? You learned it yourself. How? River or swimming pool? Pool. Those river ones, you're the ones I'm looking for. I see them. How did it happen? Can I ask? You saw them swimming and you jumped. They didn't push you in. You swallowed plenty water. Yes.
I was afraid to enter the villa. They asked me to come in, and I was afraid. Then they one thing to another. Finally, I entered. Then they said that start. I swallowed it.
The younger generation, yes, a couple of us learn in swimming pool. But they say generation Z, Y above. Most of them, they push them into the swimming pool and you had to learn yourself. So let's just have that at the back of our minds as we take this topic. Okay, we're up. and regulations prescribe required conduct or action, and they are usually binding on persons belonging to a body or institution. Common synonyms of regulations are canons, law, ordinance, precepts, rule, and statute. And they mean a principle governing action or procedure, while regulation implies prescription by authority in order to control an organization or system. So what are some regulations found in the university system? The University Act. Yesterday, Mr. Gurubu asked us a question. Who has seen the University Act? I just saw 2-3 hands coming up. The University Act is the statute that brings the university into being. For every university to come into existence and operate as a tertiary institution, it must have the backing or force of law to do so. For federal universities, universities are created through acts of National Assembly. For example, the University of Jos was created following the Act of the National Assembly, and it is cited as that's Cap U8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, LFN 2004. So if you want to see what University Act looks like, go to your phones right now and type Chapter U8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. You see University of Jos Act. You'll have an idea. Go and also search. You also find how it's cited for your own various universities. So next time they ask you, have you seen an act? I hope all the hands would go up. In the same vein, state universities are a creation of state houses of assembly. For example, the law establishing Plateau State University is cited as Law Number 4 of 2005 as contained in the Plateau State of Nigeria Gazette Number 3, Volume 11 of May 2006. For private universities, they come into being following the issuance of provisional license to operate by the Federal Executive Council on the recommendation of NUC in line with Education Act Cap E3 2004, as well as Company and Allied Matters Act, known as CAMA. The issuance of a license is subject to meeting some basic requirements, among which is the submission of the draft law and academic brief of the proposed university to NUC. So every university must have a law that brought it into being. That's all the English was speaking for this section. Now, condition of service. Condition of service is a document which sets out terms and conditions upon which an employer and employee must adhere to for the smooth running of the organization. It also spells out penalties for breach of such conditions. I'm quite sure quite a number of us have seen the condition of service for your various universities. It applies in both public and private sector. Now, career structure. This is also known as scheme of service. This is a policy document that provides clearly defined career structures. It can also be described as a legal document prescribed in accordance with regulations of the service commissions or any such similar institutions that deal with career progression of staff. It specifies the qualifications, duties, competencies, skills and experience required for the prospective job holder, as well as duties and responsibilities of a job. A scheme of service sometimes shows salaries attached to each grade. It also spells out the duties of the cadre, the method of entry into the cadre, and advancements within and beyond the cadre, from entry to the end of service of the agency. In addition, the law insider defines scheme of service as the qualifications and levels of experience required for entry into an employment in a public office for which a scheme of service has been approved by the Commission and is applied. Now we'll talk about the grade and the experience and the qualifications. You know, at entry point, let's say admin officer 2, you know, it says a degree in humanities or it spells out the degrees that will qualify you into admin officer cadre. But there's also entry into AO1, isn't it? What are the qualifications? It either accepts an AO2 with 3 years experience or master's degree. Abi? And most of the time, AO2 is quantity 7, AO1 quantity 8. So you see, the scheme of service provides the cadre, the qualifications, and the salary grade. That is what a scheme of service is. It spells it out clearly. Most of the time, if you see adverts also, it tells you, in accordance with the scheme of service or this contains this, it will give you a range. It gives a range because sometimes you find people transferring services from one university to the other. So you may be an AO1, contains 8. Somebody else may be coming from another university, has been AO1 or contains for like 2 years. And if they're transferring, the steps can't be the same. Do we get it? So sometimes that's why they give that range when they are placing adverts. But scheme of service provides for the rank, the cadre, the qualifications, the experience that you need. Now we also have criteria for appointment and promotions. Each university has a document which spells out the criteria that must be met by teaching and non-teaching staff in order to enjoy promotions. For example, the University of Jos requires that for a reader to be promoted to the rank of a professor, he or she must meet the following requirements. 1. Minimum of 3 years cognate teaching experience at the university level as reader. 2. Considerable background in research with a minimum of 15 publications in circulation. 3. A minimum of 3 years as reader in a university. 4. Evidence of sustained productive scholarship. Must have at least 3 additional publications since last promotion. 5. Dissemination of knowledge through professional and academic activities. 6. Evidence of postgraduate supervision at postgraduate level. 7. Evidence of academic leadership and mentoring. 8. Evidence of administrative experience. 9. Impeccable integrity and character. 10. Favorable external assessment. But bear in mind that these criteria vary from one university to the other. There are some that require more publications. There are some that require a particular level of administrative experience. You must be a HOD, you must have been a dean, and all of that. So it varies, but basically, these are the criteria for promotion to professor. But I want to make a point here. As a diligent administrator, you know that these are not the only criteria. True or false? There are some other salient ones that are there. For example, you must be principal author in a particular number of publications. Abi? Then also, you must have a certain number of external publications. So, the bottom line of the point I'm making here is, yes, this is what that section provides. But if you don't read through the entire document, you don't know what the other provisions are, the other criteria for promotion to the rank of professor. Let's bear that in mind as we go on. Now, another regulation, another document is standing orders. Most of us know standing order of bank, isn't it? Okay. It's quite different. Standing order is quite different from the instruction that you give to your bank and pay somebody a fixed amount of money from your account on the same day each week or month. For the purpose of discipline or savings, most of us are young parents. What some of us do is we give standing order to bank. As soon as your salary comes in, they remove it and send it to another account so that you will not touch it. Abi? Yes. Some of us do that. My own standing order is for 30th of the month. And when I need money, as soon as they pay salary, I'll remove it from the whole account and transfer it somewhere. So that when we reach that 30th, there's no money to return. But some of us have that discipline, we leave it. At that particular date, it now deducts and saves. That's not the standing order we're talking about. These are orders that set out how University Council and its committees conduct their business and discharge their obligations. They apply to Council and all committees, subcommittees, and other groups unless the context provides otherwise. Standing orders set out how Council meetings should be run. They can include how to vote, how to make decisions, ways the Council or Council committee can agree to deal with difficult decisions. These standing orders are also used at Senate meetings. If you want to see what standing orders look like, I'm sure a lot of us have copies of the ANUPA Constitution. Just check pages 61 to 65. It gives you an idea of what standing orders are, how meetings are conducted. You raise hand, it is the chairman that presides over the meeting. When president gives, or the chairman of the meeting gives somebody the floor, the person should be allowed to speak. If somebody wants to interrupt, they say point of information or point of order, that's standing order, how meetings should be conducted. Now, statutes and ordinances. In its ordinary sense, statute refers to the general and permanent laws of a state, which is enacted by a legislative body. Ordinance, on the other hand, is a local law that is passed by municipal governing authorities, such as the city council or county board. Statutes and ordinances provide the constitutional framework that allows the university to govern its affairs. Statutes could cover subjects such as the chancellor and the government of the university, membership of the university and degrees, university offices and employment in the university, discipline, trusts, finance, audits, planning and property, colleges, etc. I earlier talked about the University Act. The University Act is a statute. Are we together? Yeah. Alright. Now that we've talked about all these regulations and all these laws governing the university, what's the relationship between the university administrator and the regulations? All these aforementioned regulations are very important and should form parts of everyday life of a university administrator. Regulations are the compass that guide an administrator through the murky waters of administration. An administrator without a full grasp of regulations governing the university could be likened to a rudderless ship moving aimlessly without direction. Therefore, not knowing, not abiding by, or worse still, not guiding staff of the university aright portends disaster for the university administrator. As such, regulations should be held close to the chest and applied according to every given situation. Talking about a rudderless ship. I think about 3 years ago we went to a village. I refuse to admit that it is my village, but we went to a village. Or we were going to a village for a program. And we hadn't been there for a very long time. But an occasion came up that we had to go. Of course, we didn't know the way. And the way to the village, there's a river that you have to cross. And you know how those of you that stay near water bodies, the sand is very fine. It's very, smooth. So if tire tracks follow that route, before long, it scatters. So it's very difficult to have tire marks to show you directions to the road. So if you don't know the way, you have to get somebody to guide you. So we got someone. When you're going, the man will just say, "Park, stop, stop." He will stop. He will look left, look right. He said, "Take this road." You say, "Ohala, fia, follow." Sometimes he will stop, say, "Park." Then he will come out, look around, then say, "Take left." As long as we were lost, we were gone for good. But before long, we now started seeing, you start seeing huts and hamlets. If we didn't go with someone who knew the road, we were done for. because there were no tire tracks. No, of course, there won't be any compass there. No Google map will respect any English there. So if that person didn't know the way, the person knew it by heart. That was why he would stop, look. We didn't know what he was looking at, but because he was an expert, he could direct us. And that's how we are as administrators. There's no ASU member here. You know, there's a lot of crowd and they talk a lot, but invariably in committees, they depend on you as the administrator to guide them. So if you as the administrator, you don't know the regulation, you don't know how to direct and advise, there will be problem. A lot of us are secretaries to sensitive committees, exam misconduct, disciplinary committees, and if you don't guide them according to the regulations, it spells disaster. You will get there. Now that we've talked about the relationship, what are the challenges facing university administrators? A typical life of a university administrator is tricky and fraught with challenges, especially with regards to the knowledge and interpretation of rules and regulations. These challenges include, but are not limited to the following. A. Nonchalance towards acquiring and knowing the rules and regulations. A large number of administrators exhibit a nonchalant attitude with regards to acquiring and studying the rules and regulations. Some administrators have never cited any regulation governing their workplace. This is unheard of. Admittedly, the university has a duty to furnish all staff with all the relevant documents he or she needs to function effectively in his or her assignment. However, a conscientious administrator should take steps to acquire these documents, even if it means borrowing from other colleagues and making copies for personal use. Not knowing the contents of regulation leaves administrators blank and unable to properly guide other members of staff, or these staff are misguided and wrong decisions are taken by individuals or committees, which could lead to litigation and loss of huge sums of money by the university. Some of these costly errors are one of the primary reasons other staff of the university, especially the teaching staff, look down on administrators and sometimes want to take over their roles and functions in the university. However, where a university administrator knows his or her onions, is well versed in the rules and regulations governing the university, looks and talks smartly and confidently, such a person will easily become a force to be reckoned with, and people will start clamoring to have him or her serve as a secretary to their committee, or would even lobby to have such a person posted to their department, as the case may be. True or false? If you know the regulations, you don't have to be a lawyer to know the regulations. Sometimes you find chairmen of committees who are usually professors or members of teaching staff insisting that something should be done. Hey, this is how we used to do it in our faculty, this is how it's done. If you know your onions, please sir, that's not the way it should be. You don't have to quarrel. Remember our talk of yesterday. You don't have to sit and face them and say, I know this, you don't know, go and sit down, no. But you can gently insist, no sir, this is not the way it's done. This and this and this are the regulations. So please let's go by it. I bring the regulations, bring it. By the time you bring and you're right and the person is wrong, that person will respect you. The respect will be stepped up. Have you ever had issues? I'm sure those of us that work in registrar's office or establishment, when they say bring up posting and the draft is done or posting has been done, you find them coming back to come and be disturbing the registrar. Why did you remove this, my staff? Oh no, I beg, Oga or Madam, come on this staff for us, I beg, we don't want this. I beg, we don't want trouble. I hope we're not like that here. We're talking about other people, it's not us here. If you know your onions, nobody will push you around. Especially as younger administrators, they say, when did this one enter this university? If you know your rules, JJ, and you know when you know it, the way you don't even need to raise your voice when you're telling them, no sir, like, just say it quietly. You say, this one, leave her, she knows her work. If you just talk one her, she just give you. And they say, hello, you are coming. If you didn't know the regulation, sit down there. Mr. Awoloku said it yesterday. If you're not careful, they'll say, and this lecturer too, take the minutes for us. No. There are so many duties and roles of administrators that are slowly ebbing away. They are slowly taking it from us. We shouldn't let that happen. If we know what we are doing, we should be the reference point and not the other way around. The person is a professor of his own field. You're getting there. You will be professors in your own field too. And you should be a reference point. Another challenge a university administrator may face is intimidation by fellow staff of the university. This intimidation arises subtly or outrightly. For example, where a candidate is seeking employment in the university and does not meet the laid down criteria, and such a person is a candidate of a staff or even a management staff of the university, the interested staff of the university, especially those who wield influence, will try to intimidate the administrator saddled with the responsibility of recruitment of staff. This scenario also applies in the case of candidates seeking admission into the university. Only an administrator who is well-grounded in the provision of regulations can withstand such pressures and intimidation. Some may see you as inflexible and tough, but as an administrator, when everyone is happy with you, it means you're not doing your job well. Being a people pleaser means an aspect of your job is suffering, as you are not being diligent and you're compromising your job. Be well grounded in the rules and regulations, and you'll be able to withstand all forms of intimidation that may arise. It's very easy to be bullied. Issues of admission, issues of recruitment. And I say, what? Is it not just, he said credit in maths. He has a P7 now, what is it? And some of these people, they know these things. They will set you up. When something goes wrong, they say, ask the administrator now. But they were the ones disturbing you. Somebody that ordinarily, if you say good morning, says, I'm past. Tomorrow you say, young lady, how are you this morning? He's building a case for himself. Tomorrow, how are you? Have you eaten? Let me send you lunch. By the next week, you say, I have admission request. You're the one compiling. That person has a problem. So, if it's subtle, you don't give in, it now becomes outright. And what is it now? Other people are doing it. After I know somebody in University of so, and they admitted that person with this type of result. What is your problem? You want to show us how to do the work here? Let's be careful. Let's not give in. The worst also is that of employment. If you're maybe the secretary in charge of, the staff in charge of recruitment, you're the secretary of that panel. You know, they already tell their people, don't worry, just come in. But we're going to interview you now. We're there for you. You know, they've not told you, the secretary of the interview panel. By the time they start scrutinizing, the person maybe that said, no problem, would quickly go through, flip through the papers, the documents of that person. It's okay, you pass. You have to be very diligent to check. And if you check and the person does not meet the criteria, you need to raise alarm. Let that professor not say, well, who is this guy? Let me just digress. One of the first assignments I handled as a recruitment officer, I was understudying someone who was about to retire. And we're conducting interview for someone who was coming to the rank of professor. I think it was architecture. So, you know the constitution of a panel when you're interviewing a professor. Anybody less than professor does not attend that interview. So the professors were there, the dean of the faculty, the HOD, even if the HOD is not a professor, because he is the head of the department, that person attends, is on that panel. So we're there, I carried my file and followed and entered. As soon as we entered, the chairman of the panel now said, "Who is this girl?" So the deputy registrar said, "She's my staff." Is a girl like this supposed to be in an interview of a professor? That's the first bomb I got, the first assignment. The DR now said, "If I'm not here and she's not here, this meeting will not go." We're coming to mentorship later. You see the way I crossed my leg there? Looking at that professor throughout. Till today, he calls me Lami Manyamata. That is senior woman. Since that encounter, because the deputy registrar covered me. Don't be intimidated. But also, I'm coming there. Hide behind your boss. Let's go on to the portal. Poor mentoring culture. We've reached them. Oh, sorry, lack of training and retraining. That's another very important challenge we can't walk away from. Another challenge being faced by university administrators is lack of training and retraining and poor research culture. The university has a responsibility to train both the teaching and non-teaching staff in their various areas of specialization so as to ensure optimal performance. Unfortunately, paucity of funds has hampered sponsorships for training from within and outside the university community. In recent times, TechFund issued a letter notifying tertiary institutions of its inability to sponsor non-teaching staff to attend conferences abroad, citing paucity of funds as its reason. The leadership of SANU swiftly issued a statement kicking against the directive, stating that it was capable of retarding staff development and even threatening industrial harmony within the system. Although the union advised TechFund to withdraw the notification, there has been no response and therefore status quo still remains. However, rather than wallowing in self-pity and latching onto this as an excuse, a diligent administrator can deliberately set aside funds and go for trainings for self-development. Relevant trainings can be identified in institutions such as ASCON, CME, and other such bodies. ANUPA, for example, churns out various and regular trainings at chapter and national levels, and university administrators can take advantage of these opportunities to hone and sharpen their skills. I salute those that, on their own, came here for this training. As we were doing registration yesterday, some people actually said they came on their own. We don't need to always sit back and wait for universities to sponsor us. It's ideal, but if the ideal is not there, we can actually take necessary steps to train ourselves. There are people who were not able to be here physically, but they're participating virtually. It costs less, but they're still being trained all the same. So let us see ourselves as diligent administrators who want to learn, who want to add value to ourselves. Another challenge is poor mentoring culture. This has also proven to be a major challenge to upcoming university administrators. On one hand, unlike in years past, a lot of the senior administrators do not make the necessary efforts to mentor the younger administrators. The upcoming administrators are left on their own to struggle to find their feet. Some senior administrators go as far as withholding some vital information from their juniors for reasons best known to them, thereby raising half-baked administrators who do not have a full grasp of how things should be done properly, and this in turn leads to lack of confidence on the part of junior administrators, which then causes them to become easy targets for intimidation and disregard by other staff of the university. On the other hand, Junior administrators do not avail themselves for mentoring by the senior administrators. As a matter of fact, when a senior administrator insists on processes to be properly followed in carrying out assignments, such a person is seen as fussy and unnecessarily difficult. As a result of this, a lot of senior administrators are unable to effectively pass on their knowledge and experience to the junior administrators who will take up their roles following their exit from the system. Yesterday we heard the registrar of Ibadan talking about PARs latched onto deputy registrars to learn from them. He said he was the one that was going to the PAR's office because the PR didn't see the need to go to him. This ought not to be so. We should be open to learning. Learning happens every day. There are some aspects of minute writing I picked from Mr. OK yesterday. I took it for granted, but when he said it, I noted it. We are learning every day. Let's be open. Let's be teachable. But on the other hand, the senior administrators too should not make life miserable for us. I've come there. Yeah, we once had a senior admin. Anybody that walked under that man, if he didn't cry for 2 eyes, you have not started. And he insists. They said they are BBC. What was BBC of yesterday? He is the chairman of BBC. He would never accept any soft copy. You must print it, hard copy, and you have 100 and something pages. If you see the red biros he will give you. You know, if you want to even conserve, there are some pages that maybe there was no correction. At least you can remove those ones, correct the ones he copied, and then attach them. Like for every page, you read by top to bottom. He will now use arrow, draw line under, scribble. Then when you correct it to suit him, take it back to him and see. He corrects himself. And maybe you correct it back to what you wrote before. The secretary will put hand on the head. You, the junior administrator, you put hand on the head. He will keep you in the office till 7:30 to 8. He doesn't care how you came, whether you're mobile or not. Who want to work with that kind of person? So you avoid such a person rather than wanting to work with them. Fortunately, most senior administrators now are more friendly. The ones we met when we were in the university, there was one. She was the deputy registrar of establishment. VC has to arrange himself before he sends for her.
Serious.
Not the registrar, the VC. Because she doesn't even answer the registrar. What's her own? You know how you feel, this one we came together, or he even came after me. He's the one that wants to send for me. If the registrar wants to see her, he comes to her office. If the VC needs something, he has to gather himself, then he will send for her. And in those days, contracts used to abound because there are not too many administrators and work needed to be done. So they used to give contracts. You know, I said some of them don't teach you all the rudiments of the work with the hope that they'll be giving contracts. That's one reason. The person I told you I was understudying, when he sees me, he will not put the paper away. Hey, how are you? Okay, go and take attendance. I was only good for attendance. But the administrator said, I didn't know. After 6 months, he now wrote, applying for contract. And the reason was the young girl has not finished learning the work. So it was me he was taking to catch cruise, to be getting contract appointments, because I had not learned. Meanwhile, he was refusing to teach me. There are some of them that are like that. Should I shake the table here and talk about women issues? Should I shake the table? As minute as parking space is an issue. Why would you park in this space? It's my own space. You want to show me that you have a bigger car than me? I will deal with you. Why are you looking better dressed than your madam? Why are you wearing wig more expensive than it becomes a problem. Let me shake the table the way this podium is and scatter it. The person just becomes hostile for reasons that has nothing to do with the job itself. But let me drop it. As we're learning these things, we are slowly climbing up the ranks. Let us not do the same thing to our juniors. Let's be nicer administrators, because we know, we can remember how we suffered. Please. It's like churning out, when you talk about bullying in secondary school. You hear one child that cannot stay in boarding school, this one is making their life miserable. You, the parents, will go and shout, and they even remove the child from their room and change their room. And such children now become bullies when they become seniors. Please, let's not repeat the same process. Let's be accessible. As we're learning, let's also learn to pass this. Well, whether we like it or not, time is going. When did this year start? We're about to enter September. Before you know it, you're due for promotion. Some of you are going to SAR, PAR. Go. We're moving. Slowly. You know, when they moved the retirement age from 60 to 65, some people say, hey, this one has refused to go. But it's more than 5 years since that 65. So those ones that were saying they are still there, they're already going. And we're the ones slowly taking. Some of us are heads of units here. As SAR, we're already heading units. So please, as we're complaining, I was like, hey, yes, it's true. Let's not carry out that same villain attitude to those coming after us. I'm not saying that we shouldn't check them. Some young people, you know, this what you call initial gragra. You finish school, we are all post, wearing high dish, the whole corridor, we know that a new administrator is in town. Allow him. Slowly. Is it the Lord they tell blind man say rain before? Slowly. You just guide them. Check them. Where they are wrong, correct. But correct in love. Correct as you would your child. Where you need to be strict, be strict. Where you need to be friendly with them, be friendly with them. And also our seniors here. Please, when you go for senior administrators, let's also chide ourselves so that we're accessible senior administrators. What are the recommendations? Despite the challenges listed, and even those not listed above, an administrator, being a problem solver, can find solutions and make headway in his or her career. Some of these recommendations are given below. Suggested, let's put up the standing order for University of Jos so that you see what it looks like. I attached it, but it's written in tiny print. So what are the recommendations? Regular study of rules and regulations. An administrator must be constantly abreast with rules and regulations governing the university. Rather than indulge in movies with endless episodes, make out time to watch news and read latest bulletins and reviewed rules as it relates to the university. Make it a habit to read and update yourself constantly. Some of us are Netflix fans, Abi. Episode 1, 2, 3, 4. How many of us have watched Game of Thrones here? Nancy refused to finish. Very interesting though. But on and on, the hours spent. Somebody mentioned, do you watch news? NTA News, yes, somebody said, who they watch NTA News now? Okay, if you're not watching NTA News, watch TVC now. NTA, Babu. AIT, no. TVC, Channels, VIT, Even the news on that pops up on our phone, when we just shift it and continue, it's even interrupting our gist. Or we're watching status of different weeks. Then news comes up, just remove that news. We want to see what is happening there. No. Just yesterday, I think we were coming in the bus. and we saw breaking news that a building collapsed in Abuja. We said, this Abuja that we're in, I beg you, I hope it's not near where we're all staying. Because some of us are not even aware. Have you heard any NYSC matter? Who has heard anything about NYSC? There's one NYSC trending matter this morning. Who has heard? Hi, about 4 people. Even me that I was preparing for this, I saw breaking news. Let us learn to read. Let us learn to hear what is happening. Trending news, how things are taking shape. Make out time for things that don't build us as administrators. Let us be deliberate. Let's make out time. Even if it's 15 minutes a day. You know, sometimes if we are within the main admin building, you work in establishment, you have the rules at your fingertips. But maybe you're in campus 3, you don't even know what is happening. Maybe they have reviewed the rules, and you're not aware. You'll be lost. There's a rule, for example, in the University of Jos. In years past, is when you go on study leave, those years are not counted for you for purpose of promotion, right? But there's a remixed version now. If you come back, you resume duty, it's counted. Or if it's not full-time, you're on ground studying, it's still counted for you. But this is a recent review. So can you imagine you're not there and a teaching staff comes to you for advice. What do I do? I'm supposed to go and study. You say, nothing for you. If you don't go, that's all. Because you don't know the review. You're misguiding such a person. So let's read. Make it a regular. I hope we read our holy books constantly, the way we do devotion. Also have your book by your side as you're entering office. Okay, let me read section this to this of the regulations. Let's make it a habit to study. A diligent administrator should take it upon himself or herself to attend trainings to build his or her capacity. You can discipline yourself to save a small portion of your salary monthly until you are able to afford a training. Very impactful local trainings abound, and one must not travel abroad to get trained. Furthermore, virtual options, which are usually cheaper, are also available for participants to take advantage of. It can be 5,000 monthly, you save. It can be through standing order. You can even do adashi. And when it's coming close to August, that's when they're having junior officers training, that's when you are packing. When you pack, you pay for the train. You must not come physically, but get trained, get retrained. When you hear university training issues from various quarters, from several people outside your own zone, it sharpens you. Some of us can do adashi and buy anything, gold. Without batting an eye, some of us can buy, you can save up and buy wig for 150, 180,000. We should be able to deliberately set money aside to get ourselves trained. You're clapping now because I said wig, but some men can do anything for perfume too. Yesterday we were talking about it. Somebody said his cupboard is lined with perfume. Once he smells perfume, his body starts shaking. So we go and look for money. I don't want to call the person's name because I know. So the same way his body is shaking too, he should shake too and save something to be trained. Abi? Okay, women clap for me since we talked about perfume. Since we said we were clapping. An upcoming administrator should be open-minded and willing to learn from both seniors and fellow colleagues. No man or woman is an island. Therefore, every administrator should be humble enough to learn from others, even their juniors. Where observations and corrections are made, administrators should be humble enough to take heed of these constructive criticisms so as to emerge more refined and able to tackle bigger assignments. In the same vein, an administrator can identify 2 or 3 colleagues that he or she can give their minutes, reports, and other such documents to have a second look at in order to point out errors not previously identified. Such collaborations can also help to produce a better refined administrator. I dare say, not just your junior colleagues, even clerks in the office. There are some that have been there for years. They know how things are done. They will guide you. When we first started practice, you know, usually in court, the judge sits like this. Then the clerks sit facing the judge. You know, no, sorry, facing you, backing the judge. So when you are facing the judge and you're moving a motion or you're talking, then you know some of these judges can be very impatient. They say yes. When you're talking, they're just looking out the window. That kind, continue talking your rubbish. You find the clerk cutting you eye. When the judge now says, "So what is your prayer?" You see them whispering to you, "Pray for adjournment, pray for adjournment." A sharp lawyer will take a cue from these court clerks and quickly take, because the person already knows the body language of this judge. They already know that what you are praying for is maybe not enough, is not adequate, or is even off point. They will quickly be cutting you eye. So you see a lot of sharp lawyers are very good friends with the clerks. They are the ones that will give you a tip. They are the ones that will give you a favorable date. They are the ones that if the judge is not going to, they will tell you, don't do it like this. Take a date in so. That time the person has come back, is relaxed. They are the ones that will guide you. And so it is with the university system. There are some clerks, some EOs that something happened, they are not administrators per se, but they are very good at their jobs. Don't say, "Abego, please, this clerk, who is he?" There are some even cleaners. You know, some of these people that are in some of these sensitive offices, they hear discussions. They know how things are done. Never look down on anyone. Everybody is useful. Some of them can save your life, especially in the office. Learn to be open-minded. Learn from everybody. If you do your minutes, you do your report, take it to someone. Please look at this for me. Is it okay? You say, okay, no, do this, move it this way, add this, remove this, it's too sensitive. You come out better. I know how many people I sent my paper to have a look at for me. So let's learn to be open-minded, learn from each other, learn from your seniors, learn from your colleagues, learn from your juniors, learn from people who are not even in the admin cadre, and you'll be a better administrator for it. Last recommendation. A good administrator should be innovative. He or she should learn to explore all possible means to resolve challenges that may arise. A versatile administrator will always be sought after. Are you the one that people beg for? Are you the one that people lobby for? Or are you the one that people beg, "I beg, want this one for my office"? You should be a sought after administrator. And you're getting trained, you don't even know where it will take you to. Yes, we're all aiming to be registrars, but you may not be registered in your university. You may go and be a big boy or big girl somewhere else. But your administrative experience that you garnered would push you through and make you stand out from among your colleagues. In conclusion, it is clear that challenges abound in the work life of every administrator. Indeed, every aspect of life and all stages of life come with challenges. These challenges are, however, not insurmountable. With discipline, perseverance, and a positive mindset, all challenges can be tackled, and the university administrator can coast to his or her desired destination. Thank you for listening.
Find out if it's actually wrong, probably in the aspect of working with your HOD, who has sometimes been an administrator before converting into a lecturer. He knows all these things. He knows the rules and regulations that guide the administrators. And in the case of admission, he finds out that someone scored D, where the Constitution says he should score C. Probably he is, as the HOD, is using his power to tell you to give him admission. And you are trying to tell him that from the result, he didn't make the result C. It's supposed to be C instead of D. And he said you should give him admission. Is it wrong for you to tell him, please sir, with all due respect, probably after everything, you go to him, tell him, sir, please put it in writing.
While you were taking the lecture, you said that if you are a people person, come around that probably you are not doing something right, you are compromising. I don't really get it because personally, people come around me, but I do not really compromise my work. I have a way of just managing them, and I thought that administrators should be actually flexible while still, staying on regulations, find a way to. And also,
a situation whereby a male comes into the office, yes ma'am, and then it happens that your colleagues, one of your colleagues collected it, and then the colleague refused to allow you to see it because it's tagged confidential. How do you handle such issue? Because it has been happening.
Situation where somebody as an administrator was taken to cover a meeting, and you have some questions or some issue you know about, and you want to make a suggestion, and you are asked that your administrator as a supporting staff can only be seen but not heard. I fail to believe that somebody that is in attendance, and possibly attendant and a member of the committee, cannot speak up in the meeting. What do we do in that case?
The former administrator, who is now HOD and wants to subvert the rules. The rules are there to back you. They're already given. They're stated. The most difficult people to deal with are people that already know. In law, they said the most difficult witness is a lawyer. If you have a lawyer as a witness, they give the lawyer cross-examining you headache. So there's nothing you will tell that person that he doesn't know. But he knows the rule, and he knows you know. He's trying to subvert it, insist. And if it gets to the point that you should put it in writing, you can do so. You can put it in writing. Also, even when you're clerking for a committee and they are going against what you have advised, you can bring up something like this, what you call like minority report. That despite being guided in this direction, they've gone the opposite, so that you're vindicated in the long run. A lot of us get into trouble not because we didn't do the right thing, but because most of the transaction was verbal. And when something goes wrong, they just leave you out there in the cold. So as much as possible, when you're faced with controversial matters, put it in writing. Bring up a paper and send to him. And let him be the one to give you directive, irrespective of what the rules say. If anything goes wrong, you have a fallback. Promotion letter given, you said backwards, I'm sure you meant forward. Maybe okay, backdated. Okay, so that there are no arrears. It ought not to be. It ought not to be. If you have issues, you write and say, this is when you were last promoted, this is when the next effective promotion date is. So you're requesting that correct date be given. Because it's not just about arrears. Remember, you're counting for the next promotion. Thank God for SANU. You have a union. I hope you're active members. If anything goes wrong, latch on to them to help fight your cause. Somebody asked a question about if you're a people person that you're not. No, that's not what I said. I said if you're a people pleaser, everything that everybody comes to say to you, yes, it's okay. Well, I want to go on leave. Maybe this person went on leave It's not yet 6 months, the person has come back and wants to go on leave again. Say, no problem, there's not much work in the university, it's okay. If somebody comes to you, whatever task, whatever challenge, your own is carry go. You're not guiding them by the rules, you just want them to be happy with you. And there's a problem. That's the point I made. You can be a people person and still be doing your job. I can turn you down, maybe he asks for something. I say, oh guys, it's not yet time. Now you're not yet due to go on leave. I better just wait more. I know maybe you want to go on holiday with my dad. Oh God, now just wait. Remaining 3 more months so that you qualify. I've turned him down. But I'm being nice about it. So it doesn't stop you from doing your job. Being a people person should even enhance your job. So I said being a people is like everybody is happy with you. Ah no, it's good. Then there's a problem. You should be able to be firm and abide, stick to the rules as they are. That's what I said. The issue of confidential mail, how to handle such, what's it addressed to you? If it's addressed to a particular person, it's confidential, confidential. You don't need to see it. If it's addressed to you and the person is withholding it, then there's a problem. You should ask for it. If you are the officer attending to that particular correspondence. But if they said it's confidential and this is the officer in charge of it, I'm concerning now. You understand? As administrators, we should learn to keep confidence too. That's one key thing. In fact, some of your friends will get angry with you, so you knew that you're about to query this person, you kept quiet. Or you are the one that did posting. You not tell me, say, they go post me, go another place. How bad? You're doing your job. So when it's confidential, even when they don't write confidential, you should be able to keep up. There are some people, they look forward to, let's go, start club in the evening. When so person cancel 1 or 2, everything in the office, and they are. No, it shouldn't be so. So if that person is handling a confidential matter, let him or her be. If you are handling a confidential matter, handle it and keep your mouth shut. I think the issue of the role of administrator in the meeting has been handled. And then the challenges, I think it was just a comment you made and not a question. Yes. The question online. Okay, my name is Abdulrazak from University of Ilorin. I want to ask a question. Now, how is it possible to save part of our salary to go for seminar? Please explain if you are trying to encourage the university to help young administrators. It's possible. Abdulrazak, it's possible. With diligence, discipline, determination, perseverance, it's possible. Plan. It's very possible. Like I said, you must not. In fact, some of us had the intention of going for AUA. This year, my New Year resolution is to go for AUA. With exchange rates now, just respect yourself, look for a local one. Some of us ask on ANUPA, we have very wonderful content in our trainings. So you don't have to go out of the country. You can, instead of spending hundreds of thousands, sometimes reaching to millions of naira to go for international training, save small. With 50,000 you can attend training. And as administrators, I think if you're disciplined enough and you plan well, you'll be able to afford 50,000 naira, even less for training. Like I said, you must not be there physically. You can attend virtually like you are at the Razak, and you spend less. So with discipline and good planning, determination, perseverance, you'll be able to save. Let me just add that it never gets easier. As you're rising through the ranks, the challenges are changing, or you're swapping some set of challenges for another. It gets more and more difficult. It never gets easier. So don't think because you're a junior one will not be able to. Even when you become a senior, there are more problems that will meet you. But you have to make up your mind and persevere. You'll be able to afford any training. Any other questions? See you? Okay, I would close with this. I opened with the scenario of swimming, learning how to swim the hard way. Most of us had to learn the hard way. We were pushed into administration, no notice. You had to swim. Some of us swallowed Dirty water. You know what I'm talking about. I'm just being metaphorical. But slowly, you start learning, you start gaining the confidence. Just go. Sometimes it doesn't have to be so. For the mere fact you learn how to swim in river and swallow water, you can teach those coming after you. Give them rubber, put air back, guide them. Start from the shallow side, and slowly guide them. So as we swim through these murky waters of administration, let us gear towards training ourselves so that we in turn can train those coming after us. Thank you very much. It's about the rules and regulations governing university and the relationship between those regulations and the university administrator. We talked about the various rules and what the roles they stand to perform. And unfortunately, most university administrators do not know these rules. Some of them have not seen these rules. Some of them don't know where these rules are found. And that's rather unfortunate. So the paper was trying to draw their attention to the regulations that exist in the university and how they need to apply it in their daily work life. Sometimes we have issues of trainings. We don't get trained by university. We're not given these regulations. But that doesn't mean you should just sit back and say they have not given me. And what am I supposed to do? There's something you can do. You can actually take it upon yourself to acquire these regulations and read through them over and over so that they form part of you. So that you become a doyen in yourself to guide teaching and non-teaching staff aright as you go about your daily life as a university administrator. Open to learn, ask questions, give people your work to look through, don't be ashamed to learn. Be bold in giving the advice you know is right. Don't allow anyone push you around. Once you know the right thing to do, stick to it. Stick to your guns. Be accessible. Sometimes, as young as administrators are, they're not accessible. Sometimes you don't find them. Sometimes they are around, but they're not willing to open up to people. Be accessible. These are the pieces of advice I give to you.
Go tell your papa, say na me they come for you. Iyo go. Kaije nanke bishop na ega digo. Iyo go. Kaije nanke bishop na ifa digo. Today na today. And when I finish, you go know say na me. As you did the delay to prove my loving, you must chop my money. Cause my bank alerts na bagam, my checking on the bounce, my mansion on a badam. Baby, take a look around. My bank alerts na bagam, my checking on the bounce, my mansion on a badam. Make you take a look around. Girl, it's up to you, but I pray you say I do. Go tell your papa, say na me they come for you. Iyo go. Kaije nanke bishop na ega digo.